Hello again, everybody. This is part 2 of the World Series recap. I am your host, Felipe Melicio. You're listening to the Total Bases podcast, and with me is Melvin Lopez. Melvin,
what
how you
up?
doing?
Suplex City, bitch. What's up? I had to say at least once, but
I was not expecting it. That's what makes it funny. So yeah, for those who don't know, I think Austin might have mentioned it already. He mentioned it on his Thursday show from a week ago. But Melvin was part of the Total Bases podcast fantasy baseball league that we ran on ESPN. Austin was in it. Angel was in it. All your favorite Total Bases podcast characters, and that was his thing, was that he wanted to be Brock Lesnar. So I'll be your Cain Velasquez then, and sure enough, I won the championship, and see, if you're bringing up old stuff, I have to bring it up too. I won the fantasy league championship, and I keep forgetting to order my trophy. So it's been a very successful fantasy season for me this year. I'll take my wins wherever I can get them, right? So, but we were talking about Game 3 before my internet fizzled out, Melvin, and we were kind of talking about how everybody praising Dusty Baker for leaving Lance McCullers in, and after looking at the box score, I'm thinking, maybe he should have left them out when they were down 4-0 after 2 innings, and then you bring in Jose Urquidy. He's good for 5 innings. He's a starting pitcher as well. Right. And Austin was kind of disagreeing with me, but I figured, you know what? No, I just love Jose Urquidy so much. I think he's just, I think he would have done wonders for that. But at any rate, they left McCullers out there. Phillies win 2-1. We sung the praises of Ranger Suarez, who's had a hell of a playoff series this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we talked about him in previous shows. So let's talk about the unsung heroes of this game. I guess David Hensley. Do you know what win probability added is, first and foremost?
I do. Yes, sir.
Okay, so he's the highest WPA in Game 3 for the Philly, for the Astros.
Yeah.
David Hensley, he had 1 hit and 3 at-bats and 2 strikeouts. So that's how low the bar has been set. Otherwise, everybody went negative in WPA. Obviously, Jose Altuve at negative 0.064. Total team effort in that loss. So let's go over to the Phillies. And again, Bryce Harper, magnificent series. I mean, what can you say about Bryce Harper that hasn't been said already?
Well, I mean, it's just this was every single thing that we heard 8 or 9 years ago about this dude being overrated has been like, we still got people thinking that Bryce Harper is overrated. As laughable as that sentence sounds, a 2-time MVP in a span of 7 years, it's not overrated. He is not an overrated player. He's done what he was brought to Philly to do, and with this team, and he did it on one shoulder. He did a DHing like the last half of the year. He was mostly DHing.
Yep.
And still, this is the kind of player he is. As analytics driven as we are these days, Bryce Harper on one shoulder took you to the World Series better than someone else could have on 2. So that's about all you can say about this dude, especially this year.
It's quite remarkable the run he's had, and proving that once again he is as good as advertised. Like you mentioned it, not just when he was brought into Philly, but when he got called up by the Nationals at a very young age. Remember that?
Yeah, 19 with the Mohawk. I remember that.
And he gets that reputation for being cocky and this, that, and the other. I mean, he's basically Suplex City of baseball.
You know what? He was a 19-year-old kid, and like, I get a lot of times you'd be like, oh, that young player is cocky. That young player is cocky. Yeah, I mean, show me a 19-year-old that gets thrown $40 million and tell me that's not gonna at least elevate him a little bit. Come on, I mean, you gotta be patient, especially with these kids that come up, with these prodigies that come up. You gotta be a little patient with them, because they. I mean, this kid was in the cover of Sports Illustrated at age 16. Imagine being in that high school. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you got to be a little patient. If he were still acting that way at 30, I'd be like, come on, man. I mean, there's only room for one Barry Bonds around here.
He's calmed down a little bit. He's calmed down as he's been aging. So
and it happens to all of us, But I mean, him cursing out an umpire, that was a little. I had to.
Well, everybody, Joey Votto still does that, so it's okay.
But I mean, you got to be patient with these kids, Then when they come up, and here I am calling a 30-year-old married man with a beard a kid. But when they were 19, 20 years old, those are the only thing you can say about him. And he did learn how to play. I remember when I was when he was coming up 2012, 2013, I was like, I used to tell people 2013, 2014, this kid gets hurt a lot and he needs to learn to stop banging into the wall all the time. He was always playing like his hair was on fire. That's okay, but not at the expense of your health. And I am glad that he wised up.
Yeah,
And
because on the opposite side, it's funny you mentioned that, Melvin. Sorry to cut you up, but I have to mention it. It has to be mentioned because along with getting criticized for playing too hard, he's also been criticized for waffling it out there, for not trying hard enough. This guy can't win.
You're right. You can't win because in 2013, 2014, I remember people were talking about, is this kid, are we going to give this kid a 9-10 year extension? Because he was one of the first names that came out there on these. People were starting to move on from these 10-year contracts to 28-year-old guys. And people were starting to talk about 7 to 8 year extensions to these kids. And people were talking about Bryce Harper just needs to learn how to play and not play like his hair is on fire banging on the wall all the time, because he's just going to get hurt all the time. So
and he did,
now that he has learned to harness all that energy and all that, then people, he's lollygag. It's not that, people. It's just sometimes you got to protect yourself. I mean, but sometimes you got to protect your investment. So it's not lollygagging to the extent that some people want to make it out to be. But great season for Bryce Harper. He did it mostly on a shoulder and a half. DH in most.
Was it a shoulder? I thought it was an elbow. I thought he
it's a limb. It's an elbow. Yeah, my bad.
It's a limb. Elbows, knees, and toes.
It's something that prevent. It's an elbow. Yeah, because he couldn't throw from right field. Yeah,
that's right. That's why he was DHing, and thank God for the DH.
He couldn't throw. Yeah. But I mean, he did it on 1.5 of those. So whatever it was, elbow, knee, head, shoulder, toe. And it was a great season. Castellanos never got started. Never got the offensive pull, so he pretty much had more weight on that injured limb. So
well, I mean, he had help in this postseason. Kyle Schwarber had a big game. Alec Boehm had a big game. Even Brandon Marsh, who I don't know. Every time I look at Brandon Marsh, he's doing something goofy out there. But he had a hell of a game 3 as well.
Game 3, they were lining up on game 3. So
absolutely. I mean, they won a blowout, and of course for the Astros, the pitcher Jose Urquidy. I just mentioned that in the previous episode, and now I'm mentioning it with you. 4 strikeouts in 3 innings pitch and mop up duty. I thought he did great. I always like those. Name me an Astros pitcher, any Astros pitcher, and I will fawn over them because they are that damn good.
You know what? And we're about to talk about another one here soon. Pretty soon. Sure on game 4.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Let's move over to game 4. Other than that, I mean, we talked about Ranger Suarez already in previous episodes, and he's just been a pretty damn good pitcher for the Phillies. In this postseason.
Look, as long as if you can locate low and away, down and in, you're gonna have a job. And in the world in Major League Baseball. You can be throwing 89 on the fastball, and as laughable as that sounds, if you can locate consistently low and away and down and in, not up, because if you miss up at 89, that ball's going to end up somewhere. Down and low and away, down and in, if you can locate, you're going to have a job. And Ranger Suarez was locating that day. he was painting them corners. He was like Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux style out there. You know, he was painting those corners. He was doing great. So
I'll give you a better name that's more appropriate. He was Marco Gonzalez out there, the lefty out of Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah. But great season, great show by Ranger Suarez on game 3 for sure.
Quick shout outs to Angel Morales again joining us this morning and this afternoon. So I appreciate the support there. Ricky, the White Sox fan.
Angel. I'm making a little parentheses here. The Puerto Rican baseball Winter League season started today. Leones de Ponce, they're coming back. So your Criollos are going down, bro.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see that rivalry going. Okay. And Chris, my buddy here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, he is also tuning in for a little bit. Ricky does have a question. The White Sox fan, he does have a question. Why didn't they bat Harper 2nd or 3rd in this series? And I don't know. I read some of the comments from the Philly fans, and it sounds like the Phillies players just preferred it that way, but I don't know, man. That's your best player. He's smoking the ball. I would have been okay him hitting 2nd or 3rd. I know Kyle Schwarber at the top of the order as well. Doesn't do you wonders, but and it creates an unbalanced lineup from all the lefty bats. But I don't know, man. I'm sorry. Your best hitter should be getting more plate appearances and not wait until the 4th hitting fourth and waiting, because it's an eternity when you're after those first three, to me at least. I don't know about you guys, but to me, after those first three spots in the lineup, fourth, fifth, and sixth might as well be an eternity away from getting your next appearance. What do you think about that there, Melvin?
I think so. I think your best hitter hits second. That's statistically your best hitter should hit second. That you want those guys to get a lot of ABs, and that I think that played on a little bit on game 6, but we're still in game 3.
Well, game 4 now, we're in game 4.
Oh, we're in game 4 because a lot of people talk about, oh, well, you brought Alvarado in too early, but it was the 6th inning. The dude was going to get brought. He was going to get to see Alvarez eventually. So, but it's because we're Alvarez where we were out in the lineup. Yes, where we are in the lineup plays a huge role on how you play these players and how the chances you take. So, but yeah, that Harper, I was scratching my head because it's not like everybody was getting on base in front of him at a record clip. So if you tell me that Alec Bohm and Real Muto are getting on base at an insurmountable clip, yeah, I can see how Harper hits third at the lowest. There's no way in 2022 this dude's sitting fourth, anything lower than third.
Yeah,
but then again, these are the guys that get paid all the money. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, that's where that old school mentality goes. Where like, well, our cleanup hitter is going to clean up because the first 3 guys are going to get on base, either be a walk or contact. And again, Schwarber in game 4, he's leading off that game. So you can't do back-to-back lefties because then it's easy pickings for the Astros. So you got to kind of flip and flop.
Yeah, and this guy's it's not like this guy's going to get on base and stay on base. This guy's going to get on base and he's going to run around. More than likely.
Who, Harper or Schwarber?
Schwarber. It's not like he's gonna get on base and stay on base. He's swinging and he's trying to go all the way around the horn. Right. So I mean, let's say that you have a Ricky Henderson 1 and another guy hitting 2. That's when Harper hits third. But unless your number 1 guy is Ricky Henderson and your number 2 guy is Paul Molitor, Harper hits second. It's that simple.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I think Kyle Schwarber, then followed by Rhys Hoskins, and then Harper. I think that would have worked even better. But they had JT Realmuto, and it doesn't. And it just goes to show you that protection really doesn't matter. I know that's sacrilegious to a lot of people, but Nick Castellano was protecting Harper in this series. So what difference did it make?
And Realmuto disappeared.
After he hit 1. That. Oh yeah. I was going to say
game 1, he was gone. After game 1, Realmuto was a non-factor. I mean, so. Again, it's not like you have this one guy doing these wonders, like say, hey, Cody Ross caught fire for 2 weeks in 2010. I'm going to put him in front of Harper just for these 3 games only. Hey, something like that maybe, but the Phillies didn't have a guy like that. So
you're pushing for him to bat him, to bat Harper leadoff then?
Second.
Oh, second.
I think Harper bats second. I think.
So are you okay with Schwarber leading off though?
Schwarber leading off, Harper second. I don't care about lefty on this occasion because of who it is. Because it's Valdez. You can sit on the breaking ball. It's not like you got Randy Johnson throwing fastballs out there. You can sit on the breaking ball and he's going to throw it.
Yeah.
If he's locating it, which he more than likely will. But again, it's because it was Valdez, the lefty. If the lefty is Randy Johnson, if the lefty is just smoking it out there, Billy Wagner style, then. Okay, lefty, righty. I don't get too hung off on lefty, righty, lefty.
Yeah, I gotcha.
When building a lineup, I would say I start worrying about lefty, righty after the 5th inning, if you know what I mean.
No, I gotcha. Yeah. But to answer Ricky's questions, I mean, if you look at the Philly fans, they swear that the veterans prefer the set lineup, and Bryce Harper has been hitting 4th when the Phillies started catching fire and getting into the playoffs and
how do you
winning all these games. Like, I don't. Well, you don't. It's all intangibles, right? So it's all mental.
And I get it to a certain extent. Sometimes those things matter. I don't think they matter over a 6-month period. But again, to each their own.
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, I definitely would have batted him second or third. I don't give a crap about how you feel about it or not.
It doesn't even sound right. I mean, imagine Aaron Judge hitting lower than third. Like,
I mean, come on,
what is this, 92? Come on.
That's exactly it. It's 2022. This is the way it is
2022. Now. This is not 20. If this were 1992, yeah, Judge hits 4th. But come on now. Like,
yeah, I don't like it, man. I don't like it one bit.
I don't. To me, statistically, your best hitter hits second. And we can make an argument for that, but that's not the podcast for that. So
yeah. Well, game 4. That was the big game for one Christian Javier, and let's talk about Christian Javier. Who?
Why is this guy not in the set in the rotation?
Well, that's another question too. I
That's
mean,
what I want to know. I want to know, why does Christian Javier have to do to have a number? He is right now Verlander 1 and him 2nd, and I'm sorry, I give him 3. To me, the third spot in the lineup. Now, to me, you can see this both ways. You can either let Verlander walk because he was looking a little his age near the end.
Yeah, he looked gassed. Yeah,
he looked a little near the end, and I don't see Valdez as a bona fide 1 just yet.
Oh,
he may be on a heater, man. You know how these things work. You know, the guy's 29. This came out of nowhere. It's not like he's 23, 24. But let's just say Valdez is your bona fide number 1. I get it. You know, people tune to this podcast to see me and you fight. They're not going to get that right now. So let's say Valdez your number 1. I'm sorry, but right now, Javier's your number 2, not McCullers.
Oh yeah, McCullers for sure. But that's the whole point. I mean, Javier was they were already going with a 6-man rotation from the very start of the season, and that was to preserve Justin Verlander's arm. And Javier somehow was the odd man out. And they needed Jake Odorizzi to go in there and pitch every 6 games.
McCullers was gone most of the year too.
But still, it wasn't enough. It was just not enough room to put in Javier. And you still got Urquidy, who would be starting anywhere else, and you still got Luis Garcia, who would be starting anywhere else. So I mean, the Astros are just loaded, man. They just have a lot of depth. But definitely, I agree that Javier should have been in your starting rotation. But they were commuting him from rotation to bullpen, rotation to bullpen, and all he did was just perform, man. And he performed in the grandest of stage in this game. 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, WPA of 0.262. That's basically a pitcher putting his whole entire team on his back.
That's a pitching machine out there, bro. Like seriously, like a throwing machine out there, and you're just putting, like you said, putting your whole team on you.
Right.
And I just do not see right now. You give me, let's say Verlander walks. We're thinking about the future in the Astros right now. Let's say Verlander walks. You got Valdez, number 1. I do not see Urquidy above Javier. I don't see McCullers above Javier. I don't see any other pitcher that they have right now that would overtake Javier other than Valdez. And it's because it takes 30 straight quality starts. The guy with 30 straight quality starts should be your number 1 if Verlander walks. But I'm sorry, Javier right now is my number 2 in that team.
And you still got some. I mean, the Astros are just a pitching factory right there. And you still got Hunter Brown, who made his debut this year. He too comes fully loaded, and he could sneak in and eventually become the ace in the second half of next year, if not in 2024. And then you still got Forrest Whitley, who we will one day see. We will one day see him perform on the show, and he's gonna be healthy one day, fully 100% healthy. But those are just the 2 big names in their system. But yeah, I'm looking at roster resource already, and they already have removed Justin Verlander from the rotation in their projected lineup for next year. So right now they got Valdez, Javier, McCullers, Luis Garcia, and Jose Urquidy. Over on the Phillies side of things, not a good look for Aaron Nola. I mean, we were talking Aaron Nola, and everybody talking about Aaron Nola being an ace, and he was not an ace-like pitcher. But the real blow-up happened with our guy. We just mentioned him, Jose Alvarado. 1 inning pitch, 2 earned runs, negative 0.219 WPA. He basically shot the bed. He didn't take the loss, but he didn't make things any better for the Phillies as the Astros cruised to a 5-0 victory. The WPA hitter leader for the Astros, it's a very low 0.090, but it was Yordan Alvarez who, I guess he got hit by a pitch, and that was all the difference. We gotta love those hits by pitches. Oh, I forgot that they do have the top 5 plays here, and there it is. Number 2 on the top 5 play in that game, Yordan Alvarez getting hit by a pitch by Jose Alvarado.
Wow.
That's how dominant Javier was. Like, he didn't need any offense in that game.
Yeah, like Javier. What this means to those of you out there that are a little rusty on your numbers and everything, here's what this means. What this means is that all Javier needed to win that game was Yordan Alvarez getting hit by a pitch. And statistically, that is all the offense that Houston could have needed to win that game.
Because right after,
think about that for a second.
Because I guess right after that, right after that, Brett, I think I might be reading this wrong, but the number one play in that game was Alex Bregman hitting a double to right field
Right.
off
Yeah.
Alvarado
The
in that
double
same
that he
inning.
took the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, in that same inning. So let me see here.
And that was the knockout inning. That's when the Phillies just when the Astros that fifth inning, that was the knockout right there. They put that crooked number, and to me they never looked back in the series after that K.
And
like
and
after they put that crooked number in that game, they never looked back. It was the Phillies. It was the Astros series all the way.
Yeah, and that was all the runs they needed. So Alex Bregman also showing up big in that inning as well, and that's all the offense they needed. Anything good for the Phillies and WPA? No, it's all. Oh, okay. You had two guys, Harper and Brandon Marsh, so you can't blame Harper for this one. 0.023 WPA.
Oh wow,
So
yeah, there it is.
With 2 strikeouts. So it wasn't his fault. And he had a stolen base, apparently. So it wasn't his fault. As much as people like to blame, but that was a quick and easy one. Game 5 should be a little bit more interesting, as you know.
There's just not much. It's just Javier dominant rotation next year. All there like top. I mean, if there's an odd guy out there, it cannot be Javier. This guy needs to get 30 starts somewhere.
Well, we'll see. He'll need to strengthen his arm, because he was doing mostly bullpen duty and then pitching every 6 games. But it looks like, according to that lineup thing I just talked about, it looks like the Astros might just stick with 5-man rotation and be normal. So I don't know. We'll see how baseball goes.
Man.
Baseball seems to be wanting to push for a 6-man rotation. All the good teams are doing it, but some pitchers prefer to just go every 5 days and not wait a whole week for it. Anyway, Game 5 was a little bit more interesting. That was intense, nail-biting game as they can get. Who was the pitcher? Oh yeah, that was a Verlander game. And
that was the Verlander game.
And Noah Syndergaard, who did not look very Thor-like, not very heroic of him. Thor, 4 strikeouts, 3 innings pitched, but he gave up 2 earned runs, and he was at negative 0.077 WPA. Let's sort that out. Who was there? Any good pitchers? Okay, Connor Brogdon, he pitched 2 very quality innings, 5 big strikeouts for Connor Brogdon. And that's the other thing about the Phillies, because the Phillies, when we first started looking at them, they looked like crap out of the bullpen.
Oh, they sure did. That was the reason why Joe Girardi got fired. Joe Girardi got fired because of a bad bullpen. That's pretty much it. Like, and you know what? It looks really bad on Joe right now, but you and I know better than to blame a manager for these things. You know how it goes with the blame game when it comes to managers.
Yeah.
Joe's gonna have a job somewhere if he wants a job somewhere. That's all there is. But the funny thing is that this bullpen ended up being somehow of a, like, people were like relying on this bullpen. It's like a whole heel turn or a face turn. Like the bullpen was the GOAT. The GOAT, as in like wearing the GOAT horns, as in like the back part of this team. And then all of a sudden, last month and a half of the season, we were like, oh my goodness, Dominguez. Oh my goodness, this guy. Was like, what happened? And they didn't change that many other dudes either. Like,
no, it was the same guys, and they just got more effective. It's the weirdest thing.
They added Robertson. They added Robertson. But that's not a difference maker.
It's just one guy.
Just another piece.
Yeah, just one guy. That just provides more depth to your team. You still need that core. And the core was Alvarado, who the telecast mentioned how he was sent to the minors for like a week or two, and he came back and he was just dominant after that. You mentioned Dominguez.
Alvarado was stranding 80% of his runners.
Wow. That's I don't know if that's good or fluky, but either way, it's impressive.
That's my. Well, we're gonna talk about Game 6 here in a second, but keep going.
But Zach Eflin was also a big. He was coming in this year. I mean, I drafted him in our fantasy league thinking that he was going to be an okay starting pitcher. Next thing you know, he gets demoted, quote unquote, to the bullpen, and that kind of turned around his season. Now all of a sudden you have another right-handed pitcher coming out of the bullpen that you can trust, and he too showed up big in this game, keeping the Phillies in this matchup. But the Phillies ended up being, I mean, 2020 they were talking about them being the historically worst bullpen in Major League Baseball history. Right. Yeah. And
it was just they could not hold the lead. It wasn't at the end of the game. It was like those middle, because Brian Kenny, the save the save doesn't always happen happened in the ninth inning.
Yeah.
These high leverage situations, the Phillies were just blowing them out of the water. So and now being relied upon these past 2 weeks is just isn't like it's just a miracle how they made it into this. Like when you examine the numbers of how the Phillies, and this is the argument of are these playoffs fair? Are they really? Because when you look at the argument, when you look at the statistics of the Phillies, when it comes to pitching, they're an anomaly. I don't know how the heck they made it this into Game 6 of the World Series with their bullpen collectively how it was.
Yeah, because there were better bullpens in this postseason, and
there were better bullpens out of the postseason. There were better. I would look. Don't
Cubs,
quote me on this. Don't quote me on this, but I guarantee you, if I look at the last 70 games, I could find you a team that had a better bullpen and did not make the postseason. I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot because I'm okay with these postseasons how they are right now. But the Phillies bullpen was not a playoff bullpen, was not a bullpen that should have been trusted in Game 6 of the World Series. Like statistically, obviously.
Yeah, because we talked about it throughout the year. Like we were just kind of keeping tabs, and it seems like again, 2020 was just god awful for them on the bullpen, and then it just kept improving. And I did mention, like, if they can just be middle of the pack, that might be a thing down in Philly. That might be a thing if they could just be middle of the pack. And I'm trying to. Because I did do my FUBAR rankings recently, and I believe the Phillies got a pretty decent score. Let me see if I could find them. I'm not going to share my screen because it's a lot of colors, and I know you guys don't like my spreadsheet, so whatever. But Philly. Oh, okay. Well, then you know what? Since you love them, I will share it then, and make sure I make it pretty big. Let me know if you can see that.
Yes, sir.
Let's make it bigger. It's for all the people out there. So I have this sorted by relief pitcher. Obviously, Melvin, red is good. Anything that's blue is awful. Relief pitching score. This is basically the field independent pitching over there at Fangraphs. So you get 30 points for placing number 1, and you get 1 point for placing 30th overall. The Phillies and FIP finished in 12th place overall. And
look, show me some non-playoff teams above them. Look at
the Orioles. The Orioles. I mean, right off the bat,
the Tigers.
Orioles. I still can't believe the freaking Tigers.
With all the meltdowns that Hendricks had in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but the White Sox, I mean, that's the one thing that the White Sox did this past offseason was revamp or rebolster that bullpen, and it paid off in dividends when you see the numbers here. But the White Sox definitely, and I cannot believe the Tigers are that good. You know what, man? These advanced metrics are fake. They're not real.
They're not real. Of course,
they're not to be trusted.
No, the leadership qualities are much more measurable. Come on.
Hell, even the Giants were right there, nipping at their heels at the 13th spot.
Giants, and look at the teams. The teams right below them.
The Rays, the Twins,
Rays, Twins,
Cardinals,
Giants, Rangers, non-playoff teams, by the way. Rangers non-playoff team, Twins non-playoff team, Giants under 500 team. So you see how. So
it ended up being a big difference. That improvement out of the bullpen was the big key factor.
Was just fantastic there, and you just gotta give the guys credit because sometimes you gotta cowboy it up, like them dudes used to say back in the day. So.
Really quick before we talk about how the Astros did on their pitching side, Ricky says Caguas all day. So whose team is that? Is that you or Angels team?
That's Angels. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, he showed you
winning this team. That is the winningest team. They're the Yankees of the Puerto Rican Puerto Rico Winter League. They have 20 Winter League championships. My team, Leones de Ponce, has 11.
Oh, okay. You guys got some catching up to do.
Cal Ripken, Caguas. They have Cal Ripken Jr., Eddie Murray, they've played for them. Ponce, Ricky Henderson, Jim Thome.
Yeah.
Bunch of other legends.
Awesome. And then Ricky wants to let Melvin know that, hey, watch it. Felipe loves himself some Framber Valdez. I do. I make sure to draft them in all my fantasy leagues.
Man. Like, listen, that is a season's worth of quality starts. It's not to love about that guy.
It's the damn weirdest thing, though. You look at his StatCast page. You've seen the StatCast sliders, right? Where if it's all red, you just jump on that player. If it's all blue, you stay away. And Valdez over the years has started out having all blue, but he's still consistent in terms of his raw numbers and production. And then the last year it started becoming a little bit more red, and this year it's half blue, half red, and it just boggles my mind how consistent he could still be. It's the weirdest damnedest thing. And normally I try to stay away from that inconsistency from the Statcast numbers, but Valdez is like that siren of the sea, just calling me, "Come on, Felipe, you know you want to pick me, just draft me already."
And you know what? And that is the only thing that keeps me away from giving him that bona fide number one spot, because again, if he were 23 and doing this, that's a bona fide one. He's 28, man. Something's meant to.
Hey, you know what, man?
As we've
seen the last few years, older sometimes is better with starting pitchers.
But you know what? Solid number two in Houston is not that bad either. Like, we're talking about a solid number two, about being a solid number two guy can still be a Hall of Fame pitcher. I'm sorry to tell you, like on the right staff, a solid number two guy can be a Hall of Fame pitcher. I mean, Smoltz, Glavine.
Yeah, right.
Glavine and Maddox. Who's the number one there? I don't know. To me, it was Maddox. To some people, it was Smoltz. I don't know. So,
well, unfortunately, the Astros, look, if they don't resign Verlander, they don't have a number one. I'm sorry, they'll have to stick with Valdez number one, and I think that's a pretty damn good pick. But quick shout out to Fami and Brad. Both of them are Cubs fans. They're tuning in and watching a couple of Cubs fans talking over here. Justin Verlander, though, speaking of him, 5 innings pitched, a very strenuous outing for Verlander. If this is the last we'll see of him ever, because they were talking about, are you going to retire? And Kate Upton, they interviewed her on television and the postgame there. She was kind of nudging him. Yeah, we would love to see him at home more often. And then before she realized what she was saying, she was like, "Oh, but I love watching him pitch. I love him perform. He's like an artist out there." And Verlander, okay, enough of you. Just shut up. Let's get going. You're gonna spill the beans out here. But this is not a very vintage Verlander start. I mean, 6 strikeouts in 5 innings. That's good, but 4 walks. He did keep the team intact in the lead and in the game. He only gave up 1 earned run, so that's good. And he had a WPA of 0.189. So for a starting pitcher who doesn't see a lot of high leverage situations, he kept his team in the game.
That's why he gets paid. And you know what? This is a dying breed. The starting pitcher, like that goes 7 and forget it. This right here, we just witnessed the first World Series in 6 years that that one guy went past the 6th inning into the 7th inning. Like,
it's really wow,
it's amazing. Like, it's what it is, man. There's too much data out there. You're not gonna see the lineup 3 times too often in the postseason on high leverage games like this, especially in the World Series. Like, you might see it in the regular season against the Royals, but not in the World Series against the Astros.
And you're seeing too what teams are doing once they go back into their once these hitters go back into the dugout. You see what they're doing in there, right? They're on their tablets. Getting live data, live video, live up
and
to
you
the
know
minute.
What? If it's equal for everybody, hey, whatever. Use whatever technology. This is a new era. It removes us further away from the past because we got to move on. Fine, as long as it's the same for everybody. The same kind of tablet. Your tablet cannot be better than the other teams. You got to have the same tablet, same access to technology.
Come on, man. You know how those sponsorship deals work. Come on now.
No, man. I mean, but that's the thing. Look, listen. Use it. But you know what? The price to pay for that is that we might have to. The pitchers are going to have to get work less. And you know what?
Yep.
But the good thing is that you're seeing less injuries, and that is quantifiable. Yes, science is getting better at preventing it, but you are seeing less torn rotator cuffs. You're seeing
probably.
We would have. I mean, these days we probably could have squeezed 5 or 6 more years out of Kerry Wood in the north side of Chicago on his prime if we have managed him the way that pitchers are being managed now. So
you're blaming Dusty Baker, aren't you?
But we didn't know. We didn't know back then, man. Come on, like we didn't have the data back then. If we did, we didn't use it. I mean, we did have it because we did compile it. We just didn't clean it and use it.
And it's not just Kerry Wood. Remember the guy that they drafted, that they had with him in that 2003? Because we did talk about Dusty Baker in that 2003 Cubs. I mean, you were there this morning.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, Mark Pryor. He's the guy that came in with the perfect what do you call wind up, the perfect pitching motion. Mechanics were outstanding. Like, this guy is a bona fide star in the making, number 1 ace in the whole starting Hall of Fame pitcher, like Maddox and Smoltz combined. And there's no way that he's going to get hurt like Kerry Wood gets hurt, because Pryor just has perfect mechanics that has been taught by the best pitching coaches of all time. Tom House, I think, is one of the guys there.
Tom House,
and
USC.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then guess what? He got hurt, and then he couldn't stay healthy.
You know, I always blame the collision with Marcus Giles, but we'll talk about that another day. But that
interesting. I forgot all about
should have been shut down that season. Now, but I say that now. But in 03, I was like, throw him out there, throw him out there.
But who knows? I mean,
hindsight, he should have been shut down that season after that collision. But
we complain about Clayton Kershaw being the choke artist that he is, but again, now you just mentioned it. Not a single pitcher went after the seventh inning. And these managers, both Dusty Baker and Rob Thompson, they were getting very protective of their starting pitchers. And Game 6 is a good example. We'll get to it eventually, but they were very uber protective of their starting pitchers in this series and relied on those bullpens. And as John Smoltz, talking about John Smoltz, as John Smoltz mentioned in the telecast, yeah, I mean, that's great and all. I mean, that these offenses are not seeing the starting pitchers 3 or 4 times around. They're not getting 3 or 4 chances to see the guy because they're going to the bullpen so quickly to protect these starting pitchers. But guess what else we're doing? They're also seeing these bullpen guys 3 or 4 times in a series. So that strategy is also starting to backfire.
It's starting to backfire. That's why, and you know, that's how the Cubs got to the now Guardians in 2016. They kept seeing Andrew Miller. They kept seeing
Corey Kluber.
Yeah. They kept seeing Tomlin. They kept seeing the same dudes, and big league hitters will adjust.
And so especially really good teams. Really good teams like the Cubs in 2016 and the
World Series teams will adjust. If you show a World Series team a dude 3 or 4 times in a span of 8 days, they will figure him out.
They will figure him out. Yeah, nothing lasts forever.
They will figure him out, and that's what happened to the Guardians back then.
That's a really good point. But to get to my original point, I think that would have saved Kershaw a lot of
criticism.
And criticism. Yeah, because I mean,
undue criticism and dogmatically leaving him out there. And when there were, there was enough then again, it was that time, an A's go 7 innings in the playoffs. That's who? Goodness gracious. That's what matters. So if I gotta pull him, you gotta do it.
You gotta protect your guy. You gotta protect him and save him for another day.
But you know what? This brings another point. What managers are these days. I don't know if you're hearing out there and you work in the logistics department of a company, part of their job description is now asset protection. You gotta protect your assets. These pitchers, and obviously they're human beings, and I'm talking in the metaphorical sense of the word. They are assets. These teams have made an investment in these arms. Mess around and leave a guy out there too long might cost you your job, not because of the guy's production, not Grady Little kind of stuff, but just because you left him out there too long and he could have hurt himself. Now we're going to fire you for that. So asset protection comes with the managerial tag these days. Yeah. I would love to hear what El Weaver would have to say about that.
Well, I'll put it this way, man. It's easy to go 9 innings when the mound is like 60 inches off the ground. I'm just saying.
That's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Anyway, well, we talked about it. Also, Ryan Pressly had the highest WPA of any of these pitchers in this game. Game 5, the nail biter. Pressly did something that the telecast mentioned that he's never done before, and that's get 5 outs to close out a game.
Wow, yeah, he won an inning and 2/3, 2 strikeouts.
Yeah. So he did a marvelous job. I was beginning to lose hope on Ryan Pressly. I thought, man, the Astros have so many better pitchers than Pressly. And all Pressly did was throw those sliders, and it baffled the Phillies. And you'll see what happens in Game 6 momentarily, after seeing all those sliders, what the Phillies ended up doing to try to get to him. And obviously it didn't work. Over on the offensive side of things, again, nail biter. So a lot of big time moments for these players to come in these big time situations. They were calling this guy Clutch Gene Segura, and he had one of the bigger hits of that game. Where does it place in the top 5 plays?
That is the top play of the game.
Number 1, bottom of the 8th inning against Rafael Montero. With let's see, runners on first and second. He hits a single to right field. Castellanos scores. Bryson stops at third, and I think that ties the game at 2 apiece, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the bottom of the 8th.
No, that made it. That was the Phillies' second run, I believe.
Oh, okay.
First run.
And the Astros were already up 3-1.
Right, they were already up 3-1. That was Phillies 3-2.
Thank you for that. Bryce Harper again. Once again, you can't blame Bryce Harper. Second highest WPA at 0.101, going 1 for 2 with 2 walks. So they're afraid. They're at this point. They're afraid to pitch to him.
Yeah, that's
So,
why.
and,
That's why
and he got hit by
I
a pitch.
kept giving him the over on the 1.5 walks. I almost kept giving him the over on the 2.5 walks, because that was like, that over was not paying in the end. By game 6, that over on 1.5 walks was in a negative. Because they kept just let him go.
Let him go. Yeah, we're not. Well, you're playing. You're batting fourth. We're okay with that. Is what the Astros basically said.
You see, that's why, because there was nobody on top of him. So
we'll take our chances with Nick Castellanos, who ends up scoring the second run in that 8th inning anyway. So
little rally there, yeah.
That's a good point. A little rally. Big shout out. I'm sorry, really quick. A big shout out to Sean R. out of Long Island, New York. He's a big Brooklyn. Speaking of the Dodgers, he's a big Dodgers fan. He goes all the way back to the Brooklyn days. So thanks for joining us for a little bit as you take a break from football. But the biggest clutch player in this series, probably on the Houston Astros side. Well, I mean, the two guys, right? It was always Altuve who was setting the table, but then Jeremy Pena stepped in with a 0.184 WPA. Jeremy Pena was just wonderful in this game. 3 for 4 with 2 RBI, only 1 strikeout. I mean, and a home run. He did get caught stealing, but it was a big home run. And where does he rank on the top 5 plays?
That was 4th play.
Number 4 off of Noah Syndergaard on the top of the 4th. And all those runs in the 4th inning are just as important as the ones in the 8th inning, guys. I mean, they add up. So Jeremy Pena solidifying his case to becoming the World Series MVP as we move to Game 6, games back in Houston. And what a game this was as well. I mean, you had
this was the best game of the series, in my opinion, right?
I thought Game 5
was the World Series game right here.
I thought Game 5 was the best one, but this one definitely had the memorable moments. And you had we finally got our pitching duel between Zach Wheeler and Framber Valdez. Probably the two guys that should have been the SP1s in this series, but instead we get them in Game 6. Wheeler had a wonderful game. Valdez had an even better game, and just showed why
Valdez was dealing.
Why he's a true ace of this staff this year. I'm just saying. Although Verlander's probably going to win the Cy Young anyway, so it's all
more than likely. I mean,
hey, for as much people as they talk crap about Shohei Ohtani having to force the Angels to put a 6-man rotation, we just talked about it. Justin Verlander, 6-man rotation just to preserve his arm, and
you gotta do it. I mean, listen, this dude's got what? How many innings? This dude's I would say he's got the most innings in his arm in the majors right now. He started in 06. So he's gotta have the most innings. Like,
he definitely has mileage.
At that right now.
He definitely has mileage.
He's got the most miles. So yeah, that's understandable, bro.
Austin also tuning in. Big thanks to Austin for joining me this morning. Sorry about my internet connection, but everything's working now. So we're up to Game 6 now, and it gets controversial here, Melvin. I don't know if you want to talk about it right now, or if you want to talk about the hitters first. Maybe let's talk about it now. Zach Wheeler getting pulled in the middle of the 6th inning in favor of Alvarado, I believe, as Thompson wanted him to face Alvarez in that spot. Wheeler was still throwing in the high 90s, but I thought the telecast was talking about how, he still has some life in that fastball, some life, not high life, not high movement, some life in that fastball. And it looked like the Astros were finally getting to. I mean, he left the runners on the corners.
I mean, he got himself in that position.
Yeah. So now
he got himself at the end of the day. When you look back, when Zach Wheeler, if Zach Wheeler didn't want to get pulled from that game, he has to look in the mirror and say, "I left the base. It was 1st and 3rd, only 1 out."
Yep.
And I'm sorry and here we go again. Yes, he's the ace of the staff. I get it. But the data says that he'd been looked at. He's going to get looked at for the 3rd time. That's number 1. I think that let me give you the pros of why I think that was a good move. He's about to get looked at for the 3rd time. How did that inning start? People forget. He hit Martin Maldonado.
He hit Martin Maldonado.
Now, he was crowding the plate. I get him. Whatever. A hit by the pitch to Martin Maldonado works against you if you want to stay on that mound on Game 6 on an elimination game, bro. This Houston is playing with 8.5 hitters, and I don't mean anything bad to Machete about this, but he's there for his defense.
Yeah,
he's there. Once his defense is gone, he's not going to get a DH gig anywhere. It's who he is. You cannot hit this dude on game 6 in the 6th inning. It's starting to get late. The top of the order's coming up. You can't hit this dude, man. So that works against you, number one. Now, the game gets where we are because Altuve, they don't turn Phillies don't turn the double play on Altuve. And then he gets a hit from Pena. So, and that was a solid hit. It's not Pena's hit was not a blooper. It was a solid hit.
It was a very good hit. And
it was a solid hit. It was a hit anywhere. It wasn't against the shift. It wasn't a line drive, but it was a solid hit. That ball got through. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Number one, you got the best hitter in the American League available right now in uniform. I'm not saying he's better than Judge. In uniform, right now, you got the best hitter coming up. You got the best hitter coming up. Now, what I say is this: this is also the 6th inning, so he's coming up again. You gotta see him twice. You gotta see him twice. Now, you got a guy in the bullpen, Alvarado, that strands 82% of the runners. 82% of the runners he strands.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanna get hung up on lefty, okay, now this is the time to talk about lefty right here. Now, is it relevant? No, because Alvarez kills lefties. So it's not like you can skip Alvarez. What's the inverse? I think if you wanted, you're not gonna get a double play either. Why are you not gonna get a double play? Because Dusty's old school. Dusty's sending the runner. Dusty's staying away from that double play. Right. There is no way in heck. I would say there's no way that the Phillies, that the Astros are going to get hit into a double play there because Dusty's standing Pena. Perhaps even in a straight steal, because guess what? Send them on a straight steal. They're not throwing the second. Altuve's coming home. So there is no way. The only way you're going to get, you keep Wheeler in there is if you think you can get a double play. You're not getting a double play on Dusty in that situation.
Right.
Not on Alvarez.
Not on Alvarez, no.
Not with Alvarez and with Pena running. And Altuve on third.
Yep, no way.
Every single thing, every single logic there tells you he's done. You need a strikeout. You need to K him. And you need to bring in a guy with a high strikeout rate and a high strand runner rate. And that the only guy you got there is Alvarado. In a high leverage situation like this one, because remember, Alvarez is coming up again. You gotta, if you want to win this game, you gotta retire him again. Yep. Because if you gotta win this, if you're on the road. So if you want to win this game, if you're the Phillies, you gotta see Alvarez again. So the question is not whether you're gonna see Alvarado or not. The question is when. When else bring him? When the game gets out of hand in the 9th inning and we're down 8-1. No, the time to bring him is now when the tying run is on third and you need a strikeout because Alvarez has a higher strikeout rate than anything Wheeler could have given you there. Wheeler's not throwing 98 no more. He was throwing 95.
No, he was throwing in the high 90s, but
was he throwing it in the zone?
I don't know. It was getting up in the zone. It was getting up in the zone. So there was that's what I'm saying, that the telecast was talking about it. There was some movement still. There was some life still to his fastball. Is what I remember Smoltz saying. Look, but man, to me, he looked tired. He looked tired.
I would have left him. I would have left him if the Pena hit was a blooper. I would have left him. Honest.
No, they got 2 solid hits off of him in that inning.
But they got hit. That's what I'm saying. If the Pena hits
I agree.
Or a broken bat or a shit happens kind of single. But no, it was a solid hit that allowed Altuve to go to third.
And here's the counterpoint to that.
If it's a little blooper, if it's a little roller that allows Altuve to remain in second, now you got 2 force outs there you can get. Then it's more likely that you can live with contact. You cannot live with contact right here. You gotta K him. You gotta K him.
Only solace is if I think the first 2 at bats for Alvarez, there were 2 flyouts. So there, you just mentioned there's not going to be there's no way there's going to be a double play, and because Alvarez is trying to drive the ball into the air, and he already flew out twice, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but I could have sworn that he had already 2 flyouts in that game. So there's no double play in action it doesn't matter because, like you said, Pena's probably going to run.
Dusty's going to throw the runner. 1-1. Like you get 2 strikes on Alvarez, Dusty's sending the runner. Dusty's not dying there.
Even if it's a 3rd flyout, I mean, Altuve's going to score from 3rd. So
you gotta K him. You gotta strike him out. You gotta strike him out, and your best chance to strike him out was Alvarado.
And
you gotta strike him out.
And here's the counterpoint to Jose Alvarado. Alvarado had a awful game 4, but everybody in the Phillies had an awful.
Everybody did, yeah.
Game 5, he did a little bit better. So he's being overused, but I mean, this is no different than having to play in the regular season. Hey, Alvarado, we need you out again. Are you looking good? You have one day off. You're looking good. What's Alvarado going to say? No, coach, I don't want to play today. No, Alvarado's going to go.
Such is the life of the left-handed reliever in the playoffs when the other guy's team best hitter is also a lefty.
Hey, you know what though? Alvarado's going to play until he's 45 years old because guys like him are not easily available.
You don't grow those guys on trees. I mean, you don't grow those guys on trees. So if you can retire lefties.
You have a job for life, basically. Look at Arthur Rose.
And he's stranding them at a 82% clip.
I still say that's kind of fluky, but I mean, I love Jose Alvarado, so I'm okay with that.
Look, if anybody tells me that bringing in Alvarado in that situation was a no, then you need to give me a name that has a better chance of striking him out.
Zach Wheeler. You saw people asking why didn't they lay Zach Wheeler, and you just mentioned all
because
the reasons
he got hit. He
got lit up. I'm sorry.
He got hit.
He looked tired.
There was hard contact. That again. If Pena gets the if Pena gets that hit, if it's an infield hit single, if it's a bunt, if it's a broken bat blooper that allows Altuve to get to remain in second, you leave Wheeler in because you can live with some contact because you got 2 forced plays.
But not in that situation. You don't want Zach Wheeler, a tired, gassed out Zach Wheeler facing a guy.
It would make more sense because if let's say Alvarez hits the ball, you can live with contact because if he gets another fly out, worst case scenario, Altuve is on third. The problem was that the Pena single was a legit, bona fide, good major league single.
Yeah, I definitely.
That was the problem that Altuve was able to get to third in that single. That is what tipped the scale towards you need to K him. You can't live with contact.
You cannot live with contact.
Because he hits the ball in the air. He hits the ball in the air. Altuve scores. He hits it on the ground. It's gonna be. He hits it on the ground. It's gonna be there's gonna be a hit and run going on because Dusty's not dying with a double play in that play. You get 2 strikes on him. Let's say you get 2 foul balls on him. Pena's running, and guess what? He's more than likely making it to second because now you killed the double play. So
I think a tired Zach Wheeler facing Yordan Alvarez, who is just pumped up and ready to go. Yeah, that would have been disastrous. And then we would have had the conversation as to why did Rob Thompson leave Zach Wheeler out there, and then
having Alvarado there with that because then everybody was going to start digging up the information that I dig up, the 82% stranded, the high K rate. I mean, who has a better chance of striking the guy out there? You got to.
I think it would have been Alvarado, even if he's gassed out or anything. I mean, but yeah, he had a pretty good game 5. He had a rest a rest between game 5 and 6. Alvarado.
Yeah, the difference to me,
turned out it wasn't. I'm sorry, what was that?
To me, the difference was the Pena hit.
Yeah, for sure.
The Pena hit showed you. That he's getting tired and he's getting hit with hard
like I said, I agree with you on that part. But I think Alvarado. I think it turned out that he too was also tired, even with that day off in between games. And it is what it is. I mean, like the telecast even mentioned, what are the Phillies supposed to do? That's what got them to the dance. That's what got them this far.
Right.
Let's read some comments here.
And at the end of the day, the other guy's trying to win too. Let's not forget.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that's a 106 win team we're talking about here. It's not like you're not playing an 89 win team.
Right.
Let's not forget you're playing a better team.
The
other guy's also trying to win.
Yeah.
The other guy is also an MVP caliber hitter who kills lefties, man. I mean, sometimes Goliath keeps the crap out of David. Nobody just bothers to tell that story, man.
So seriously. Some quick comments here. Ricky saying, was McCullers scheduled to pitch game 7 because that would have been dicey? I hope to God that wouldn't be the case. Not like it matters. I personally, Javier, yeah. Maybe even Luis Garcia.
Bullpen day.
Maybe Luis Garcia.
Give Javier 3. If they would have gone to a game 7, give Javier about 9 batters and see how he went, and then start counting outs until Presley and the other
Brian Abreu and Hector Neris.
Abreu and Neris. So we got Presley, Abreu and Neris, and then between Javier and
Garcia.
Javier got in and what was the other dude's name?
listen, man. They have options.
Yeah.
The Astros had options. All right. So
Yeah.
you could have gone with Javier and then get him for 2 or 3 innings because he's good. Then Luis Garcia, we know he's good. And he didn't play in game 5. You still have Jose Urquidy, who also was well rested. And then you still got Hunter Brown, who has not been used at all, and he's ready to go. He throws he brings in heat, and he was what do you call it, primed to be a starting pitcher in this league. So there you go, bullpen game, but you got guys who are well rested, and not like the Phillies who have a thinner bullpen.
Yeah, who were the Phillies going to throw? Ranger Suarez probably.
You will have to go with Ranger Suarez and hope to God that it works out for you.
That he would have located again, but then again, the other guy's trying to win too. So
yeah, it was important for the Phillies to win as many games as they could in Philadelphia, and they only won 1 game, and that was the bet they made.
For the Phillies to win, they needed 2 out of 3 in Philly at least.
Plus, batting Harper 4th, your best hitter, that's also ended up dooming them as well.
Yeah, that's kind of not going to do it, because then again, we run into the he's coming around again. Remember,
I got
Alvarez,
it, man.
He's coming around.
I got it. The Phillies would have gone with Bailey Falter.
Goodness. That he was going to falter.
Yeah, I can imagine. Come on, man. It was the Astros series to lose. Let's face it.
It was. It really was.
So that was the WPA. So great games by both of those guys. But it was about the Astros bullpen showing up big. Neris, Abreu, and then Presley once again. And I wanted to talk about that. Presley. Oh, right. Wait, there's more comments. Austin. The difference between the Angels and the Astros is that the Astros pitching is deeper. Angels aren't built for a 6-man rotation. To the Angels' credit, we talked about it all season long in the Total Bases podcast. Angels rotation wasn't that bad this year. Not too bad. They finally showed that they might have some depth. Of course, it's nowhere near the Astros, but and then to Ohtani's credit, all he did was produce this year. Like, I can't even talk too much crap about him. He did produce. He did show up. He did put up the big numbers. He actually qualified for the ERA title last I checked. That was a running joke among the baseball life brethren, especially guys like Henry.
I don't think the Angels in the past. The Angels' problem has been the rotation. I don't think that's their main problem right now. Like I don't think they're that far off.
That's a lot of problems with that Angels from top all the way to the bottom. There's so much of a mess, but we're not here to talk about the Angels, man. I don't want to talk about crappy teams here. I'm sorry, but I was just trying to
sit here with Cubs hats.
I was just trying to throw a bone to the Angel fans, okay? Like, it wasn't that bad this year, the rotation. I've seen a lot worse from that team since Mike Trout has become a superstar for that club. Ricky, lefty, third time facing him. I thought it was the right call. So I guess he also agrees that Alvarado was the right play at that time.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Yeah, and the data suggests the third time seeing a dude,
Austin, in the end, the better team won. The Phillies put up a good fight, but it was going to run out eventually. The Astros are just too damn good, top to bottom. From ownership, as much as you want to hate the ownership, to the front office, to the development system, to the farm system, to the pro scouting, all of that. It's not even including the players. The players themselves are uber talented. It's just a world-class organization, whether you guys want to admit to it or not. If you don't admit to it, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I honestly think that within the last few years, because it's become really hard to repeat in this sport right here in baseball.
Yeah.
I look at the last 10, 15 champions, and I see that the Astros have the best chance to repeat, like with what they have.
Yeah.
In the position that they are, with the money they can spend, because they can spend. That's the thing. They can still spend. Like when you see a team that just won, but they're strapped. But they're not, because Correa walked, Springer walked.
Yeah.
So, and Alvarez is locked up for metaphorical pennies on the dollar. Alvarez got locked up. Bro, Alvarez got locked up for like 21 mil a year. Like, I don't know at the top of my head. I know it was super friendly to them. But I think the Astros have the best chance we've seen in 10 years to break that repeat spell that we are in, which is the longest in Major League history that we have gone without a repeat champion these last 23 years.
You said it, man. Technology, better scouting. As hard as it is to believe, there is a little bit of better scouting out there.
I honestly think that the Astros have the best chance if everybody stays healthy, which is a huge if in this sport. Because Jeremy Pena, love the guy, but he was looking very, very, very on the down towards the end after the All-Star break. He was looking like he was coming down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, rookies, man.
Figured out a little bit.
Rookie walls, yeah.
sophomore slump maybe next year, but
we'll see.
I don't know. I don't count on it. He might, but the Astros have still really a good core to go over. They might need a first baseman because I think Yuli Gurriel may be done at the major league level.
Yeah, he did not look good at the end. He got
He
hit in the
did not look
head.
good.
He might
Throw
have
some
twisted
money
an
on
ankle.
Anthony Rizzo. I mean, I don't throw some money on Anthony Rizzo. You know he wants another ring before he leaves.
Well, it's the Astros, so I don't think that's going to happen. So we got to look at who are the big names in the minor league system, and yeah, that's the thing
that they have a first baseman.
No, they don't. It's very thin. They still got Pedro Leon, who's a 20, who'll be 25 next year from Cuba. He's one of their top 5 prospects according to Fangraphs. I know that's a guy that we talked about last week as well, or a couple of weeks ago, I should say. But yeah, that was one of the things that a lot of the I guess I'll call them Astros haters were touting last year or 2 years ago was, oh, that's it, man. This scandal. They took away draft picks. They took away signing bonuses. They took away this. They took away that. It's it for the Astros. The Astros competitive window is officially closed. They can't do anything. It was all about the trash cans and the technology. They can't do anything without it. They have no farm system. And all they do is just bring up guys who you plug in, like Chas McCormick, who made fudge, and we forgot to mention the Game 5 catch that he made. That is probably one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my life.
You got in the World Series probability on that.
I do not, but it did not look good.
It wasn't good. I heard it on the radio, and I don't want to quote it. I don't want to quote it right now, but I remember going, "Wow!" But we're gonna post it here in a little bit when we get out of here. But that catch probability was not good at all.
No, and it wasn't that it was going to be a home run. He pulled it out of his
keister somehow. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't going to be a home run, but it was going to be an extra base hit.
Maybe a triple because Real Muto can move.
Real Muto can run. Like that dude was going to go for a triple. One bat throw, who knows what happens.
By the way, Yordan Alvarez contract 6 years, $115 million. So yeah, that allows for a lot of flexibility for us.
6 and what?
6 years and $115 million.
6 and 115, bro. But that's less than 20 a year for this dude.
You know what though? They don't pay taxes in Houston, so that's good. State income tax, I should say.
I know that. I did live in El Paso, Texas. That was one of my favorite parts.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, that's 18 a year for this dude. Think about that. How much is Judge going to cost? 45?
A lot more than that. Yeah. So I mean, no hometown discount from Judge.
They're in a really good position to spend some money. And we may get a repeat champion if health holds up.
Yeah, speaking of money, Austin reminding us, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. By the way, Mets re-signed Edwin Diaz to a 5-year, $102 million contract. So
5 years for a closer. What a day to be alive.
What a day to be alive. I mean, he looked fantastic. He looked
he earned it.
Every bit the closer he was supposed to be this whole entire time.
Yeah,
so
but how much class are you going to want now?
I'm sorry, what?
Clase going to be gone from the Guardians now.
Oh, you know the Guardians. All right, we'll just get whatever scrub you'll find and we'll replace you. James Karen, James Karen, you're up. Get ready to boost your hair.
Some money though. Like he's gonna command something similar because
And Austin has a lineup for the Phillies, but it's too little, too late for them. It doesn't matter. I guess I'll read it. He would have had Bohm, Harper batting second, Schwarber batting third, so he doesn't care about the lefty issues there. Real Muto batting fourth, Hoskins fifth, Castellanos sixth, Segura seventh, Stott eighth, and Brandon Marsh ninth. So that was my point, was about Ryan Presley. Ryan Presley ended up once again to close out this game. He wasn't going 5 outs, but he was just going to traditional 3 outs. He did give up a base hit to somebody. I forgot who it was, but it allowed a chance for Bryce Harper to get them within 1 run. And golly, I don't remember who it was, but he was throwing nothing but sliders.
Presley he was gonna make them hit a mistake. Like,
he was
putting the burden of a fail. He was putting it on himself. Like,
I'll tell you,
it's because I screwed up on the breaking ball, not because
I tell you what, man, there was a couple of times where he did throw a fastball that clocked in at 94 miles an hour. And the Phillies, I guess they knew what to expect this time because they were struggling with the breaking ball, but I think somebody got a hit. I think it might have been Hoskins, or had to be, or maybe even Real Muto. But
I'm on the play-by-play right now. Keep talking. I'll tell you.
Yeah, so somebody got a hit, and then after that, Bryce Harper comes up to the plate with a runner on base with a chance to make it 4-3 if he hits a home
It
run.
was Real Muto single to center field.
So there's already 2 outs.
There was one out.
There was
Top
one
of the
out.
ninth. Top of the ninth, there was one out. 4-1 Phillies. Real Muto singles to center.
Oh, right, because Hoskins led off that inning.
Yeah, Hoskins led up with a
Because
fly
Kyle
ball to right.
Schwarber did the dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody do, and that was try to bunt himself onto base, and that's just
Got
like
himself,
him.
and then he fouled out.
He fouled out because he saw, and that same thing with the Phillies, and the Astros were frustrating them with all these breaking pitches. Kyle Schwarber saw like 3 or 4 consecutive breaking pitches, so he said, "All right, well, you know what? I'm not gonna catch up to these breaking balls." I forgot who was pitching. It might have been maybe Abreu. It had to be Abreu, right? Who was pitching?
Yeah, it was Abreu. It was Abreu.
So Abreu is throwing all these breaking pitches, and I guess Schwarber can't keep up with it, so he bunts. And what does Abreu do? 94-mile-an-hour fastball up on the eyeball or on the letters, and Schwarber bunted foul in that inning. But they're already thinking like, man, these guys don't throw any fastball. But if we see a fastball, we gotta jump on it. So Real Muto is what was it, a single or a double? I forget.
It was a single.
Single, first base. Bryce Harper, the first pitch he sees is a fastball down the middle, and for whatever reason, he pops it up to like left field or center field. Or something like that.
You right there, you can live like right there. That's what because normally my wife I'm explaining to her what's going on, and I told her just expect just the ball right down the middle right here, because he can put it in the moon, Albert Pujols style, and Minute Maid. He's still winning. So, and you just want to clear his spot in the lineup. So if he clearing his spot in the lineup comes at the expense of him hitting one on the moon, I'm still up with 2 outs to go. I'm good. Get him out of the way. Yeah, celebrate that home run. I'm still going after these 2 other guys, and I'm in a better position. It's weird.
The next guy is Nick Castellanos, who we already talked about him. But yeah, Bryce Harper flies out or pops out, however you want to call it, after seeing only 1 pitch. He's not even going to work it. He sees the first fastball and he wants to drive it, and unfortunately drives it straight up into the air. So what does Nick Castellanos do? Same thing that Presley did. Throws a fastball somewhere down the middle. Castellanos swings at it. First pitch, fouls out to right field. Kyle Tucker makes the catch. Astros win the ball game and the championship. So the Phillies were getting antsy to see anything but breaking pitches, as these Astros pitchers were just throwing them fits out there. Over to the hit,
were just simply better pitchers. Like
better pitchers, yeah.
Pound for pound, they were the Phillies at some point, man. Listen, Rocky made it all the way up to the 12th round against Apollo, and that was his win. Hey, you know what? Your win was making it all the way down, because it's what it is, man. The Astros were just a superior team. You may not like them, and this is probably going to get me some hell on this page. You may not like them, but you do have to respect them as an organization. It's what it is. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Getting to the hitters, Kyle Schwarber hit the home run in the top of the 6th inning off Framber Valdez, deep to right field, and that opened up the scoring there. Valdez would eventually get out of the inning, but Schwarber once again hitting another home run in the postseason. Unfortunately, Jordan Alvarez hit the big 3-run home run down this 450 feet down center field off of Jose Alvarado. 3-run home run. That's all they needed. The Astros did. They punched in one more somewhere in late.
It wasn't a single. It wasn't a single. Okay,
yeah. Well, then typical.
He was by Pena.
Yeah.
Single by Pena.
So there it goes. So Jeremy Pena was just instrumental in this game, as he ends up winning the World Series MVP, deservedly so. Let's see, something else I wanted to do here. I think I can get it on this page. Okay, so let's look who were the most important players in this series according to WPA. Jeremy Pena, Jordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, and Yuli Gurriel, all with WPAs over 0. Everybody else was either at 0 or negative, including Aleph Diaz and Chas McCormick, who struck out 10 times in 19 at bats.
Goodness.
So McCormick,
he should get a save for that catch, because I'm telling you, Real Muto was going to end up in 3rd.
But
and one bat throw, you know that dude's coming home. So he may have saved something there.
But Chas McCormick, that's his MO. He strikes out a lot. Over on the Philly side of things, it's Real Muto, Harper, Schwarber. So all the big names come up big for the Phillies and the Astros. So this was basically every series always had like some sort of little known player that comes up. I guess you could put Jeremy Pena on that list of little known players. Other than that, in this World Series, all the big names showed up. All the big players did big time things. On the pitching side of things, Ryan Presley, just Mr. Dependable, which I thought he was. Shame on me for doubting him at any time, but I had given up on Ryan Presley this season, and he looked strong in this World Series. Valdez showed up big. Obviously, Christian Javier, according to WPA, Brian Abreu, Hector Neris, all the guys that you kept seeing on television. There's a reason why you kept seeing them on television. For the Phillies side, David Robertson quietly had a very productive World Series, including 1 save, 4 strong innings with 5 strikeouts. Ranger Suarez, for all the reasons we talked about. Zach Eflin finding a home in the bullpen, and Connor Brogdon, who has been kind of a revelation for the Phillies. And of course, you can't mention the Phillies bullpen without the great Sir Anthony Domingos, who the great. He's, how old is he, like 25, 24 years
25,
old?
yeah.
Lot of baseball in him, assuming he stays healthy.
Imagine a World Baseball Classic, you're down by 2, and you get Sir Anthony Dominguez and Emmanuel Clase against the Dominican Republic at the end of the game. You're not winning, bro.
And then that's it. That's the World Series. That is the recap. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's really late. We got an hour in. It is already dark here in Chicago. That's daylight savings time, or whatever you want to call it.
It is getting a little dark here in Nashville as well.
The twilight has arrived, so that's a good place to stop. I will say one more thing. So once again, congratulations to the Astros. Good. Phillies put up a valiant effort. I don't know where the Phillies go from here. I don't know. Well, that's another story for another time. But like you mentioned, the Astros look like they could contend for maybe at least another 2 years, and they'll always bring up some guy from the farm system, which the Phillies, they don't have that advantage for some odd reason.
They just tell me that the National League may be wide open. I don't know, like the Mets.
Well, they're in a tougher division though. That's the problem.
I mean, they're in a tough division, but they figured out a way somehow. So.
Well, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and they figured out their bullpen, so that's one way of doing it for sure. Let's see. Anybody coming out of that farm system? No, I don't recognize any of these names. Scott Kingery is still a thing in the Phillies AAA system.
Kingery? Oh my goodness, they still
20.
They gave up on Moniak already, didn't they? Like.
Oh, they traded him away to the Angels, I believe.
Oh, they did. They sure did.
Oh yeah, for Syndergaard, I think. Yeah,
for Syndergaard. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They traded him already.
Jalen Ortiz might be a thing. I don't know.
I think that the Phillies might be a little strapped to pay because they got to pay Hoskins here soon. I'm sure. Like Hoskins contract starting to come up here soon.
I think that's it for him, man. I don't know how you could justify paying all that money to a 30-year-old.
I don't think so, man. The Phillies may not come back here for a minute, but
because the Mets are stronger, the Braves are going to be strong. Braves are just that's the best team in that division. I'm sorry, top to bottom, best team in that division. Mets are getting there, and then you still got the Marlins starting rotation you got to deal with as well.
Yeah,
and the Nationals.
I still believe in Sixto Sanchez actually, but that's another day.
One day he'll be healthy. Really quick, since we're not going to make it to our defensive stuff, we had a complete spreadsheet to talk about defense alone, but we're gonna call the show soon. But here is Melvin's best defensive players of 2022. He had Adley Rutschman at catcher, Christian Walker at first, Brendan Rodgers at second, Dansby Swanson at short, Brian Hayes at third, and then Stephen Kwan, Michael A. Taylor, and Aristides Aquino, who in all my spreadsheets that I did here, Melvin, he did not meet my 750 innings pitch minimum because he was
I thought it was 500. My bad, man.
No, for me, that's for me. Hell, Fangraphs is even they're even stricter. I think that you have to play like 900 or even 1,000 innings at a position to qualify.
I saw Sean put Dalton Varsho in one, and I was like, oh, Dalton Varsho has 500 and some innings, so I guess it's per game, 500 innings.
Yeah.
No, 19 defensive run saves and 500 innings, dude. That's something.
That's what I wanted to point out, and it's mostly because of his arm. He has a very strong arm in right field. So I just wanted to point that out. When you cut back on the innings requirement, then he shows up and he has like a gargantuan amount of defensive runs saved.
19.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
19 in 500 innings. Like that's just unheard of. Like,
because he didn't play a lot.
Mookie Betts had 18 in about, I would say like 75% more innings. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And of Betts, you can't go wrong with Betts in right field. Like any guy that passes Clemente in defensive war in right field is a good defender. So
he's all right, I guess. But Aquino surprisingly has a very strong arm. I cannot speak enough of that. There's a reason he gets a high UZR, high DRS, despite not.
It's a legit choice, man. I mean,
playing a lot of innings is because of that. The strong arm.
I think Aquino. I don't want it to be different because I kept seeing the same numbers, the same names. I wanted to bring up this guy because this guy went on a tear about 3 years ago, and he has hit less home runs since then than he did on that 1 month or 2 month tear that he went on. And I wanted to mention him because he's a good defender. playing in the Dominican Winter League this year as well too. So hopefully he gets some of that magic back.
Well, Melvin, Hot Stove has already started. You mentioned that earlier when we were talking privately, but Hot Stove has already started. Chris Bassett will become a free agent after turning down the mutual option to return to the Mets. Xander Bogaerts is expected to opt out along with Carlos Correa and Trey Turner and Dansby Swanson. So a very strong shortstop. I mean, we just mentioned Dansby Swanson as one of the better defensive shortstops in baseball this year.
Oh, definitely. I go after that dude. Like if I can't get Turner, I'll go get him. That's for sure. If I need a shortstop and I can't get Turner, even if I don't need a shortstop, I mean, most of it, like, look, if you don't need a shortstop, just move him to second base. You got
move him to second base, yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Even if you don't need a shortstop and you got money to spend, give him to this dude.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was an interesting choice. Michael A. Taylor also was a defensive metrics darling last year as well. I saw the list from last year, and Michael A. Taylor shows up a lot on those defensive metrics.
I do believe he did have 1,000 innings in center field.
I believe you're right, and where did I have him in my rankings in the outfield? Michael A. Taylor. Oh, he wasn't there. I thought I saw his name. Oh, there it is. Michael A. Taylor. And just defensive in my defensive metric system, he was like the number 5 best outfielder, or number 5 best fielder in 2022. When you account for DRS, UZR, and outs above average, which is now available at Fangraphs. So I finally got a chance to use that in my system here. You'll see that.
I like that stat, outs above average.
Yeah, and
that is my whole desecration of the Gold Glove when Darwin Barney won one. I was like, look at the outs above average. Look at this. Look at the other. Oh my goodness, how we had stats back then. But
yeah, it would have been something, but unfortunately, we didn't have those available, and we were still depending on fielding percentages. And of course, Melvin, when you think about fielding metrics and all that, you gotta account for a player's offense, right? You gotta do it.
Of course, yeah, it's in the name, Gold Glove.
Gold Glove. You mean batting gloves, right? Gold batting gloves, right?
Gold Glove. It's about the offense. That's what it is, man.
Big shout out to Jacob. Jacob, you got us at the very end of this.
What up, Jake?
Broadcast, but thank you for joining us. I appreciate the support. I was supposed to do a once a month basketball thing with him. I'm still trying to work out the schedule, but I'm hoping to get back with him rather soon so we can talk some basketball, especially more important to me, some fantasy basketball, as I'm hoping that I finally get my first win of the season, fending off Angel Morales, who's also improving.
I don't know. Russell Westbrook is retiring a lot of armchair broadcasters.
What?
Russell Westbrook is driving a lot of people crazy this year with all this production he's getting. So
or lack thereof at this point. So it's been a crazy NBA season already, and we're only like 3 weeks in. Yeah. So hey, but you know what? Be careful what you post because you might get canceled apparently. So yeah. It's I don't know what world, Melvin. I don't know what the hell world we're living in right now. It's up is now down, day is night.
I don't expect, like, this dude found out that Earth was round 4 years ago. I mean, come on, like.
No, a year after he proclaimed that the Earth was flat, Kyrie Irving decides to say, "Hey guys, I was just joking about that." So you guys are taking me. Sure, you were joking after you got caught, you numbskull. He really is an idiot, man.
But,
anyway.
You know.
But I can.
Man, good being here, bro. Always
thanks
a pleasure to touch some baseball, man. I know I'm pinch hitting, so I appreciate the invite. I know Austin. I know I'm pinch hitting, and I could never get to that level, man. But appreciate y'all having me over here.
No, it's fine. I appreciate you coming at the last moment's notice. That was my fault. Technical difficulties, but I made the call. You said put me in, coach, and I put you in, and. Thank you for that. I know it was, like I said, appreciate you coming in as a last minute fill. Listen, man, if this podcast had some sort of WPA metric, you would be like at 0.80. Okay.
Oh, thank you, man. That's
and I'm just and I'll do the last 10% of that. So I'm good with that. Absolutely.
I'm flattered, man. I'm flattered. Thank you.
All right, any last words from you, Melvin, before I let you go?
Brother, hey, the season the MLB season may be over, but now we got the winter leagues. Mm-hmm. We got Caribbean Series. We got World Baseball Classic. So hey, come over to Baseball Cosmos. We're doing some really good work over there with the winter leagues. exposing the winter leagues to all the English speakers.
Are you still doing the
we're-
podcast or no? I only saw that you've done only one episode. What's going on
we
with your
did we
podcast?
did one episode, and we're coming back with it now that the winter leagues have started. That was like a what do you call it? A trial episode,
I got
project beta, a beta. Yeah,
You're a beta.
That was,
Shut up.
That was.
I'm all alpha, man. I'm no simp.
I'm an alpha man.
Oh, look at me.
That was a project beta, but we're coming back with the broadcast with the Baseball Cosmos podcast.
Excellent.
And yeah, we're talking about winter leagues and Cuban national series. So all of them are in full swing now. So come over to Baseball Cosmos and the Baseball Cosmos podcast. Check us out. I'm one of the characters that's always in this page. For those of you that haven't blocked me, for those of you that have blocked me, I've changed. Come back. I love you.
No, he has not changed. So just stay away from him. Stay away from us, actually.
That's what people do. They change. Remember?
Basically, anybody that Melvin wants out, they're out already. So just stay your asses out. I don't want you in here. Listen, man, we talked about it this morning with Austin about the World Baseball Classic. Austin is making plans to be in Arizona. I think Corey, I don't want to use his last. Fuck. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Corey Decker. He'll also. I mean, he lives in Arizona, so he's probably going to be hosting us down there. But we also have the East Coast people. They're already talking about going to Miami. Yeah. To go see all the Caribbean and all the Latin, the South American teams like Venezuela.
In one team, and you got the group of death: Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic.
It sucks, man. I don't like that at all.
Why? You don't like group of death?
No, I don't. Why you got to put all the good Latino teams in the same group, man?
Put them in rights, bro.
No, screw that. Rights, put them in Japan. Put them in Japan or Taiwan, man.
Bruh, this ain't about the trophy. This is about Dominicans and Puerto Ricans talking crap to each other.
I'd rather see them in the knockout stages than in the pool play. You know, we don't need to see Israel. Oh, I better be careful. I don't want to get canceled like Kyrie. No. But we don't want to see Israel and Italy in the finals. Come on, that's not what it's about. Or the Dutch team.
You don't want to see a team. You don't want to see Ian Kinsler in the finals against Mike Kinsler?
No, Ian Kinsler, I love Ian Kinsler, but come on. There's no way on God's green earth that the Israeli team should be in a better position to make the knockout stage as opposed to the Dominicans or the Venezuelans. I'm sorry. I mean, all respect to Ian Kinsler, but and all the people of Israel, but no way, man.
It's when you think about it, this tournament is still in its infancy. This is only like the 4th edition of it.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's still in its infancy. It's all about, obviously, you know, you're not gonna position Puerto Rico to play in Japan. Well, you might find a couple of Puerto Ricans there because we're everywhere, but
I guess
you're gonna put them in Miami where there's more revenue. You know what this is about, brother. So
yeah, well then I don't know. Just make it fair. I'm all about fair play here. So
oh man, come on. Hey, you'll see. It's much more fun for a Dominican and a Puerto Rican to be talking crap about each other about baseball than there is to talk about a championship.
I'm gonna stay away from all that because I don't want to get shanked. So I'm gonna stay my ass in Phoenix where the Mexican team's gonna be playing. So hopefully.
Urias and Urquidy, you got a pretty good.
God damn right, man. Well, another reason why I love Urquidy for sure.
Y'all got a pretty powerful 1-2 there. Urias,
can't wait.
And Urquidy, so
I can't freaking wait.
You guys are gonna make it out of that team.
I hope so, man. Mexico, you know, man. You whether it's soccer or
you got Verdugo, you got Urias, Urquidy. You got a few guys there. So Alejandro Kirk already committed.
I limit my expectations with Team Mexico all the time because they always let me down in soccer and they always let me down in baseball. So I'm just gonna hope for the best. So yeah, we're already starting. It's in March. We're already starting to make our travel arrangements and travel plans. I already told my wife either she's with me or without me, but I got to go down and see my boys and the Mexican team and the baseball life people as well. And if you're lucky, maybe I'll make a cross-continental trip to Miami and see how you guys are doing.
I may make it to the finals because the finals are in LA, right? I believe the finals are in Phoenix.
You know what? I do have the ability to work. I do have the ability to work from home from anywhere. So maybe I'll just do that in March. I'm not going to take any time off, but I definitely am going to be working and then catch a game afterwards. So I have options. Hey, all right. Melvin, thank you so much for coming on. That is Melvin over there. I am Felipe. This is the Total Basis Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one. Catch you later, brother.
Yep.